Only grace can uproot shame. Are you ready for some good news? Christ came to bear your shame, so you don't have to. What's shame? Well, shame is a lie from the pit of hell. It says you don't measure up, and until you do, you can't be loved and accepted fully. And it's true, we're all flawed, and we've all been born in sin. But what's so devilish about shame is that it contradicts the whole message of the gospel. In Christ, you are accepted utterly, fully, freely. You don't have to measure up and prove your worth to motivate Christ to die for you. He died for you knowing the worst about you. Christ died for the ungodly while we were still in our sin. Until the gospel of grace uproots the lies of shame, our souls are tortured with angst, like some hidden inward tyrant ruling us. For some, it leads to a life of perfectionism. For others, it leads to a life of rebellion. Either way, the soul knows no real rest until we have grace. Families, schools, religions, and whole cultures have harnessed the power of shame as an attempt to manipulate or motivate people. Perhaps you grew up in a home that withheld approval or dangled it in front of you like a carrot. No matter how hard you tried, the carrot of acceptance seemed to be moved farther and farther away. And when we feel like we ought to measure up, but we know that we haven't measured up, it creates anxiety. And anxiety fuels most of our problems. When we're weary and worried, we're at our worst. But there is a solution to it all. It's the liberating power of grace. The unconditional love of God melts away the shame in our souls. Love, grace is always the answer. And though the world might be telling you, you ought to be ashamed of yourselves and shame on you, in Christ, God has a completely different message. Shame off you. And that's the gospel. Well, you can get more good news by clicking on these videos right here, or better yet, if you haven't done so, be sure and subscribe so you can start out every day with good news.